Celebrities get sick all the time, but even in their 50s, some people fake it for attention. Welcome to Beyond the Screen, I'm Nate, and these are the top 10 celebrities who got caught faking serious medical conditions. Number 10. Joe Exotic. Joe was the Tiger King inside the confines of his Greater Wynnewood Exotic Animal Park and so much more. The Netflix docuseries Tiger King followed the story of Joe and his team at the zoo, but it eventually morphed into a tale of lies, deception, and attempted slaying. For those who may not have seen the series or know who this guy is, how's that possible? Okay, go watch all 8 episodes in one go so you can feel the hate towards this man that we have. If you're a cat lover, please be warned, it's not going to be a good ride. Spoiler alert, the show culminated in Joe being convicted of 17 federal charges for the mistreatment of animals and 2 counts of attempting to pay someone to end another person's life. Joe is currently sitting in a cozy little cell in Oklahoma adorned in tiger rugs and sheets, I'm sure. Following the release and success of the documentary, Joe was actually unable to watch the show because no Netflix in prison. In order to gain the chance to see it and experience his 15 minutes of fame, Joe faked a cancer diagnosis, which meant that he would need to be moved to a proper facility that would probably have Wi-Fi. He even went so far as to get his fans to raise money for his so-called treatment, but it turned out that he had been faking the whole thing just like he faked his music career. Joe's cancer was actually an infection in his nether regions and a constant state of dehydration. It was never confirmed if he visited a real doctor or if he just diagnosed himself, which, considering the area, I don't know, that might be fun for him. I don't know. Number 9, Bradley Cooper. Bradley Cooper's directorial debut, A Star is Born, released in 2018, in which he also starred as Jackson Maine, the legendary country music maker with a taste for no-no juice. The most memorable scene came when Cooper's character and his co-star Lady Gaga take the stage at the Grammy Awards when Cooper starts urinating in his pants. It was one of the more important scenes in the movie, and Bradley decided to get a bit too method for his character. Throughout production, Bradley was seen stumbling on set. He always seemed worn out and drained of energy, even if it was the start of a new day. The cast and crew became worried that he might have been suffering depression or maybe some no-no juice-induced battle, which was kind of confirmed by Bradley himself. As the director, on top of being the star, people expected him to kick back into normal when he stepped behind the cameras, but that didn't happen, and instead he was still tipsy and tired while he was in his chair. So what was actually happening? Well, it turns out he wasn't battling anything, he was just getting so deep into his method acting and he just decided not to tell anybody about it. At the end of filming, he apologized for his behavior. He was simply trying to live in the mindset of Jackson and share the story through those eyes. Whatever he did, it paid off, as not only did the film receive multiple award nominations, including 2 wins for Best Original Song, but he got me to pay to watch it 3 times in theaters. People kept telling me they wanted to see it, and I love Lady Gaga, so it's a win-win. Number 8, Belle Gibson. Belle Gibson was a famous Australian influencer who was diagnosed with a brain tumor when she was 20. According to Belle, she ditched the traditional chemo route and instead decided to undergo alternative treatments like oxygen therapy and colonics. And somehow that worked. So her thousands of followers thought. In 2013, Belle used her story to launch a health and wellness app called The Whole Pantry. She made a public vow to donate 1/3 of her profits to charity and was able to secure a cookbook contract with acclaimed publishing company Penguin, and Apple pre-installed her iPhone app on people's Apple Watches. Like when U2's new album just showed up one day and you were like, hey, I don't remember doing that, what was I doing last night? Not long after her rise to fame, she claimed that the cancer had re-emerged basically everywhere and lamented about the short time that she had left with her family. But as it usually does, the truth set her free. According to media outlet Who, the app's proceeds never made it to the charity, and former friends of the blogger voiced their suspicions to the point that 2 journalists from Sydney decided to take on the case. After a fairly minimal amount of sleuth work, Gibson was forced to reveal that she had in fact faked her diagnosis for media coverage. The aftermath involved a civil suit being launched against Belle with Consumer Affairs Victoria, and a judge ruled that she might have been suffering some kind of psychological issues at the time, but was in fact found guilty of misleading and deceptive conduct. That's the thing you can sue people for? Cool, I gotta make some phone calls. Number 7, Brooke Ayers. This one's for all of you Real Housewives fans out there, specifically of Orange County. Leave it to a reality series to be the center of a lie. While it's never been fully proven if he did or did not have cancer, Brooks was caught red-handed lying about receiving treatment. According to People magazine, Ayers claimed to be diagnosed with stage 3 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma in 2013, and although he maintained face that he was sick, he spent much of that year's season dodging skepticism. Even his ex-girlfriend doubted him. In an attempt to prove his illness, Ayers apparently showed E! News documents that he says are from City of Hope Hospital, where he claimed to be a patient. The news outlet found a number of inaccuracies in the paperwork, and of course they contacted the hospital, and guess what? They'd never heard of him. Oh, shocker. Eventually, Brooke Cook was forced to come clean and admitted that he forged the documents to avoid releasing the real paperwork. I love Hollywood apologies. After that happened, he was like, "Now I realize my actions were wrong and inexcusable." Hey man, who raised you not to know that faking cancer is messed up? That's bad. Number 6, Steve Rannazzisi. You may recognize Steve from his role as Kevin MacArthur in the hit FX series The League, or maybe from his many stand-up and television specials. But what you might not know is this guy is a liar. Steve first moved to the West Coast on the United States only 1 month following the events in New York in September 2001. Now, when he first tried to break into the comedy scene, he claims that he found it difficult to fit in with his fellow comics, and he would indulge in his stories to get a word in conversationally. Essentially, he just introduced himself being from New York, and people at the time were like, "Oh, so were you there when it happened?" And a lot like comedians do, he started telling them sarcastically that he did in fact escape one of the towers before they fell. But before he could say, "Nah, just kidding," the conversation had moved on and he was now seen as a survivor. Needless to say, his story made its way through the scene and his career seemed to be on the rise. Only a few short years later, he was the main cast member of The League, and he'd go on to write and star in several TV shows and films. But in 2009, Steve told Mark Maron his tall tale, adding details like, "Yeah, I worked on the 59th floor. Oh, it was tough getting out of there, man. I actually broke some bones in my hands. Owie." Not long after the public exchange, the New York Times did some detective work and found out that he had actually worked in Midtown Manhattan at the time, which was nowhere near the incident, just shattering the illusion of his story. He apologized for the lies and realized now that people probably would have just liked him fine without the lies. Wait, lying to people is wrong? Oh my god, my mind is blown. Number 5, AJ Finn. Dan Malroy is probably best known by his writing pseudonym AJ Finn and has a medical history faker than his best-selling book, The Woman in the Window. According to a profile written by The New Yorker, AJ just loves to lie his little head off, as over the years, Mallory has reportedly claimed to have brain cancer, including on a university application and to his colleagues at publishing houses both in America and across the pond in the UK. According to the profile, he also claimed to have lost his mother and his brother, but it turns out that they were both still very much alive. A phone call was recorded when Malroy received the news, and he dropped the line straight from a mystery novel. He said, "My God, I knew I'd get this call. I just didn't know if it was going to be from you or the FBI." Now, if you need proof that this dude's a writer, there you go. Malroy was forced to come clean, claiming his lies stemmed from the fact that his mother had an aggressive battle with cancer when he was young. He went on to say that he did all these things and that he did and said things that he normally wouldn't do. Why do people always pretend that they don't remember stuff when they happen? That makes you look more crazy. Number 4, Courtney Stodden. Courtney is a model, singer, and American media personality, and their claim to fame is, well, being married to the guy from the Green Mile that didn't wet the sponge. You gotta wet the sponge, man. Upon the breakup in 2020, Courtney's new ex, Doug Hutchison, decided to throw Courtney just right under the bus and reveal that they had faked a very dark situation in public. In 2016, Stodden's manager told People magazine that the couple had lost their baby before it was born and were taking their time to grieve. But according to Hutchison, the entire thing was actually faked so that the couple could scrape together some extra money while they were in a tight spot, and it was all Courtney's idea. "Yeah, I know I'm the husband, but technically we share everything, but hey, it's her fault, I had nothing to do with this." Stodden later said in an interview that they couldn't get a job to save their life in Hollywood, basically blacklisting them. They had burned through their savings, and times were tough. Well, if you want sympathy and money, go out in public and say that. Don't tell people that you lost a baby, that's worse. Number 3, Kim Zolciak. Another one for all the Real Housewives people out there. This time we go to Atlanta. Fans of the show may remember an epic battle between Kim and fellow series star Nene Leakes during the season 1 finale. Kim was making it seem like she had begun wearing a wig and claimed that it was because of her cancer treatments. During the episode, Kim tearfully claimed that she was very sick and her hair was falling out. Kim then mentions that a doctor friend sat her down and said that he was 90% sure that she had cancer. A medical professional on his time off. He was like, "Hey, listen, based on what you've told me, you probably got cancer." Yeah, no need to double check that. She made her fellow housewives believe the tall tale, but the suspicion began to grow when Andy Cohen asked her bluntly during an interview if she did in fact have it. She avoided the question and started crying, saying, "I wouldn't walk around with a hairpiece if I didn't." Then she kept the ruse up long enough for Nene to make a rare on-camera apology to Kim before Cohen brought her on one more time and asked the same question. This time, Kim admitted that she didn't actually have cancer at all and that her symptoms ended up being from something completely different. "Oh, so the doctor who you were probably partying with misdiagnosed you. Huh, shocking. Hey, I'm tired and my stomach hurts. Well, you have cancer. Number 2, Jussie Smollet. Jussie Smollet. In January of 2019, famous actor Jussie Smollet walked into a Chicago police precinct and reported that he had just been the victim of a hate crime. He told the police that two strangers started shouting racial slurs at him while one was yelling, the other was pouring the chemical bleach onto him before they both held him down and tied ropes around him. He claims to have suffered severe rope burns from this and that he was physically ill from the experience. As we all know, that isn't exactly the case. The so-called strangers were actually two brothers who worked with Jussie on the set of the hit series Empire, according to inside sources. Jussie paid the brothers $3,500 each to help him stage the event, planning every single detail right down to the precinct visit. The proof that all of this was a ruse made up for publicity was the fact that the altercation conveniently took place directly in front of security cameras. An investigation took place that found ample evidence that Smollet had set himself up. They found receipts from the ropes that were used during the altercations left in the assailant's home. Way to hide the evidence, boys. There was also security footage taken from a store where the brothers can actually be seen trying on and purchasing ski masks and gloves and hats, and I would pay anything to see that footage. It must be so good. At the end of the day, Jussie was forced to serve 150 days in prison and pay the Chicago Police Department over $300,000 for wasting their time and resources. So by the way, before anyone gets mad if I mispronounced his name, just remember he faked a hate crime. Maybe focus on that. And at number 1, Helena Bohnam Carter. She's got bronchitis. Ain't nobody got time for that. Remember that one? Helena Bohnam Carter is a wonderful actress who's proven time and time again that she will steal whatever scene she's in. Now, while she may be best known for playing the evil witch and possible girlfriend to the Dark Lord Bellatrix Lestrange in the much-loved Harry Potter series, it's her role in the '99 flick Fight Club that got her a spot on this list. Following the wrap-up of the film, Helena claims that she was forced to visit the hospital and was diagnosed with bronchitis, and it was due to the massive amounts of cancer sticks that she was inhaling throughout the flick. It turns out that she wasn't forced to do anything actually, she did it to herself. While most sets tend to opt for fake props, especially when it comes to things that you set on fire and inhale, Helena decided to bring her bad habit onto set and into her character, reportedly lighting up a new Popeye every other take. While she may have claimed the illness to be caused by the filming, the reality is if she had just opted to do what everyone else does, that she'd be fine. Sure, maybe she did get sick, but she didn't get it because of the filming, she got it because she's method, man. And those are the celebrities who were caught faking their illnesses. Did we miss any good ones? Let us know in the comments below. Please drop a like if you enjoyed the video and follow the channel every day if you haven't already, you silly Billy. Thanks for stopping me on the screen and we'll see you next time.